Okay, I'm going to open the Architectural Board of Review agenda for December 11th of 2023 and start with a roll call, please.
Thank you. I'll proceed with roll call. Chair Moore,
Here?
Vice Chair Six,
Here.
Board Member Anderson. Here. Board Member Black. Here. Board Member Noon.
Here.
Board Member Whalen.
Here.
Board Member Sovereign.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay. We move into public comment, if we could.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Chair Moore. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I have no slips. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, please fill one out and bring it to me. I see no movement in the auditorium, so we will move on to virtual comment. At this time, I see no hands raised, so we will end virtual comment. And for this particular project, we did not receive any correspondence. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Moore.
Okay, thank you. We can close public comment. And I feel kind of silly going through all the minutes and all that stuff, but shall we do that? Okay. Okay. All right. Let's do the October 30th minutes, please.
The October 30th minutes was a mistake. That's been approved.
Okay.
So we can just move to the review of the November 27th minutes. And I have those up. That's not the minutes. Those aren't the minutes. We can move on to the consent calendar for November 13th.
Okay.
And we had item A, 1514 Anacapa Street. That was continued indefinitely with the following comments. All new fencing and screening structures shall be painted to match the existing wood material on the building. 2, the new light fixtures shall be frosted glass. Item B, 22 West Mission Street, received project design approval and final approval with the following comments. The applicant shall maximize efforts to save the trumpet vines, and the project compatibility findings were made.
Okay, do those look accurate to the folks that were there? Okay, would like to make a motion?
Yes, for approval.
Okay, okay, do we have a seconder?
Second.
All right, seconded by Black. Any other discussion? No? Let's take our vote.
Taking a vote, Chair Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Six.
Yes.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Black.
Yes.
Board Member Noon.
Yes.
Board Member Sovereign.
Yes.
Board Member Whalen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. And then, do we have today's?
We do not have today's consent minutes, and I'll have to get back on the November 27th minutes at the next hearing, so.
All right. So we can move on to announcements, requests by applicants, future agenda items, and appeals.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Couple announcements. One, we have a reappointed board member. Mr. Whalen has been reappointed to the ABR. Really thankful about that. Also, to note that it is Mr. Whalen's birthday. And please help yourself to multiple cupcakes because we're celebrating not only a birthday today, but also Chair Moore, this is your last meeting after serving 8 years on the Architectural Board of Review and chairing those for the last handful. And just, I'm going to pass it over to Vice Chair Six because your fellow board members and colleagues and staff have shared some thoughts with you and want to celebrate you for a moment. So please.
Absolutely. So this is a resolution of recognition for the Architectural Board of Review, Kevin Moore, Chair. Whereas Kevin Moore, Chair of the City of Santa Barbara's Architectural Board of Review, continues to make immeasurable contributions to the beauty of the community, of our community, as both architect and public servant, And whereas Kevin's professional demeanor as chair set the tone for the constructive hearings, especially his reliable attention to decorum, hearing procedures, and high design standards, which provided a dependable blueprint for thoughtful reviews. And whereas Kevin always deciphers the main issue at hand and lets the unimportant pass, and he asks the right questions at the right times so that the board can see things at least a bit from other points of view. And whereas as chair, Kevin's politeness, patience, and sensitivity to the needs and feelings of applicants, the public, and other board members garnered great respect and confidence from all. And whereas Kevin served with distinction on the City of Santa Barbara Architectural Board of Review for 8 years, and his specific reviews and comments were always informed and in context with the greater goals, responsibilities, and issues before the board. And whereas Kevin ensured each project was reviewed with quality design and community benefits in mind. His thoughtful feedback and calm leadership demeanor will leave a lasting impression for years to come. And whereas Kevin is simply a good company who turns conversation into form of play and encourages others to be themselves. Now, therefore, be it resolved that official recognition on behalf of the City of Santa Barbara Architectural Board of Review is given to Kevin Moore for his outstanding contribution to our community and to the City of Santa Barbara. Thank you, Kevin.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. It's been a long time. Been up here with some of you for a long time, mainly you, Vice Chair Six. But I've really enjoyed my time. It's been great to see all the projects coming through and to get to know the staff better and to hopefully help our city. So appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. And like I said, it's a bittersweet day, and I think you might have one more announcement that you might not be sticking around for one of the items, the only
Right.
item.
Right. Our only item today, I have to step down from, we have a project adjacent to this, so to avoid any perceived conflict, we'll step down. So, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Well, don't take a couple cupcakes on your way out. And unfortunately, we can't have bubbles in this room, but
Hope to
thank
see you
you
around.
again.
All right. I'm sure we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
All right, so I guess I will take over here. So I think all we have left is subcommittee reports, and I don't think we have any. So we can move right on to item number 1, 35 Anacapa Street. This project consists of a new 3-story development on a 0.5-acre vacant lot located in the southwest corner of Anacapa Street and East Mason Street. The proposal includes an airspace condominium map for development of one building consisting of 2 small 6-room hotels, restaurant and tasting rooms, market, bodega, and 18 parking spaces. The Planning Commission approved the coastal development permit, 2 conditional use permits, 1 for each hotel, and a vesting tentative map on November 2nd, 2023. It is here for project design approval. The project requires compliance with the project compatibility analysis and the following guidelines: urban design guidelines, outdoor lighting design guidelines. The project was last reviewed on March 20th, 2023. Do we have those minutes? So the board appreciated the applicant's design to minimize the mass, bulk, and scale of the property. The board appreciates the attention to the materiality of the project. The board would like to see further study of the finishes of the materials and where they are located in order to make them compatible with the industrial character. Provide further study of the Corten steel material and its laser cut to or show that kind of pattern, of what kind of pattern it has to reflect the industrial style, provide physical samples of the Corten steel material. The board appreciates the significant reduction of the program and the massing since last meeting. One more member was concerned about the west elevation and its visibility from certain places on State Street. It should be more appropriate background such as the Beacon Building. And the board made preliminary comments in a positive way to the compatibility analysis criteria. So with that, if you would present yourselves and your presentation.
Vice Chair Six? Can I make just a
Oh,
quick comment?
exactly, okay.
I just want to jump in. I don't know if you mentioned before that this did receive Planning Commission approval on November 2nd. And just, they have two conditions of approval. They're kind of your standard ones that you always see about the screen backflow device and the location of dry utilities, if they're in the right-of-way, painted Malaga green. So I just want to bring those to your attention, that they need to be included or addressed as part of the project design approval.
Thank you very much. Now, if you'd introduce yourselves and your presentation.
Mark Kirkhart, Principal, Design Arc Architects.
Melissa Turner, Senior Project Manager for Design Arc as well.
So you've seen this now several times, and as Kathleen mentioned, we did receive Planning Commission approval a short time ago. So we're very excited about that. We're here for project design approval so we can move forward into construction documents and come back for final. So I can take you quickly through the massing to refresh your memories, or do you want me to just go answer the questions that you've asked?
Was everybody present in the last review?
I was not, but I watched.
Familiar? Okay.
Did you watch the video? Great.
Would you, Vice Chair Six, to Board Member Soffren, would you be able to state that for the record as well? Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
I was not present, but I watched the video.
All right, so I think you can shortcut to the changes since.
Sure. You asked for further study of the finishes, and so what we did is we brought samples, as been asked, of both the Corten steel, which I think most everyone's familiar with. This is a sample of what this particular company calls a pre-weathered corrugated metal. It will not be in this scale. This is scaled down for the purpose of the sample. It would be a standard corrugated metal, but you can see it looks pretty much to me like bonderized, that would be left in a natural finish like that. And then we're proposing two colors of stained cedar, one that would be very black, like this, a very, very dark brown or black, and another one that would be a much lighter, kind of slightly washed out driftwood type color on the cedar. So we've produced a digital color board that is a part of this set, and everything is indicated on the drawings as to where it occurs. Just to kind of remind people, I want to go back to just maybe the aerial overview. You know, the building is broken down into multiple components, some with gable roofs, some with shallow pitched roofs. So the gable roof elements will tend to be in the corrugated metal, very much what is kind of really predominant down there in the funk zone, some of the existing, a lot of the existing buildings. And then the one, as you can see in the kind of the top part of this rendering, this was really brought on by the Planning Commission. They wanted us, since we were doing a total of 12 hotel rooms, they wanted them to look like two 6-unit hotels as opposed to one 12-unit hotel because they're on separate parcels of land. And so they have different architectural kind of vocabulary, breaking them so that they look like the units there on the southwest have a gable roof and the other ones kind of have a flatter roof. And we've got a green roof in the middle dividing those two elements. Further, if you want just to recall the fenestration, which is kind of a further question that you had, we really have proposing multiple types of fenestration on the glass. So in most of the corrugated buildings, it will be a steel or might be aluminum to look like steel, but a multi-light industrial type window. We also then have a more conventional commercial storefront along right on the corner and around onto Mason Street as well. And then we also have some just clear butt joint in the ends of those gables where it would have kind of frameless butt joint glass is the idea. So we're trying to just introduce a lot of variety to keep it kind of funky and not just one typology, which we think is appropriate. It also helps us break down the massing. And as the board had already recognized, they appreciated the fact that it kind of is definitely layer cake. It steps back from the corner, steps back from the streets. I want to address the idea of, can you show the slide on the art program? Because we didn't talk about that. We showed this at the Planning Commission, so the client is very interested in supporting both the local arts community and art in general. And so we've indicated an opportunity on the south, in the upper left-hand slide there, we have an opportunity for a mural on that south wall. That's facing the parking lot of the brew house that's there. So we've set that building far enough back that we can actually have some lighting on it as well. And then in the upper right-hand corner we actually are going to have a gallery that would be curated, and it's a linear gallery that is along the corridor that leads from the parking lot out to Anacapa Street. And it would be behind glass so that it can't get damaged. And the idea would be we'd have it curated by either some local artists or other art organizations or whatever, and it would be a revolving type of art show. And the last one is that the corrugated metal, the Corten steel that we're proposing to have die cut or laser cut. We're thinking that is actually a way, and the Planning Commission responded favorably to this, to actually add some art on the architecture instead of just having it be applied as an artist, that we would actually use that die cut material in some very interesting pattern. Once again, it can be evolved from what you're seeing here by the time we come back for final, but that's the idea. It would be like 1/4-inch plate, die cut, in some kind of a basket weave, something really we think is kind of really interesting that would meet the needs, because we're using that for guardrail on the exit stair. And it shows up in various places throughout the project. So I talked about the finishes and where the materials are located. If you have any questions about that, I can further mention it. You also made a comment about the glass handrail that we had proposed around the pool area. It was actually, the only glass was around the pool area, and so we've eliminated that and changed it to a horizontal flat bar stock, rusted steel, either that or painted a charcoal gray instead of the glass. It's actually really a lot easier to maintain. The glass, if you don't wash it about every other day down in an ocean environment, it's can be problematic. So we've eliminated that. That's kind of the highlights, if you don't want me to go through it. We talked about the landscape before. We've done some more illustrative plans here. So as you can see, on the patios on Anacapa Street, downstairs and upstairs, we're proposing some stainless steel cables with vines that would grow up and kind of end up with an interesting pattern and kind of provide a little bit of transparency and also opacity to the outdoor dining. So we've tried to incorporate as much landscape on the architecture as we can. Oh yeah, so we have a lighting plan, because that was asked about. You zoom out so we can see the whole thing. We've just brought in a lighting designer to kind of talk about the variety of lighting that would be incorporated in this project. Once again, you'll see more specific at our final, but it's a combination of some kind of, like you can see in the upper left-hand corner there, kind of industrial kind of lights, some lights hanging from trees over in the middle on the bottom. We have you can see there's a big oak tree. We're proposing a big oak tree on that patio that then we would hang some lanterns in it. Once again, just to be a little bit more playful, kind of a combination. Obviously, we're not lighting the night sky, trying to keep everything illuminating downwards. So that's kind of the approach. There would be some architectural downlights in some of the flat soffits, sconces on the walls. I think there's another page to the upper floor. Yeah, we do have some string lighting over the courtyard. We're proposing some 3 major olive trees in that courtyard that could get some lighting, both moonlighting and maybe a little uplighting right at the trunk. So it's a combination of decorative lighting, as you can see. And once again, that will be fully called out on the final, but that's our approach to the lighting. Funky, unique, and unexpected in many cases. So I think that answers the questions that were brought up at the last hearing.
There was an issue on So is that your,
Yes.
okay, very good. With that, we will open public comment.
Thank you, Board Member Six. I'll start with in-person comment. At this time, I have no slips. However, if anyone wishes to speak, they can fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one moving in the audience, so we will move on next to virtual comment. I do not see any hands raised for virtual comment. And on this particular project, we did not receive any correspondence. So at that, I will turn it back to you, Board Member Six.
All right, thank you. So we'll go to questions. I think that, one of the main requirements of this board is to find context with the neighborhood. So I think when you address your questions and your comments, if you can think about that in your both. So who would like to start? Any questions from this side of the, Ms. Anderson?
I just have one question. Can you just show us where your backflow device is and talk about how you're screening it? I don't think we have that identified yet, a location for it,
Which?
for the backflow.
Backflow preventer?
Backflow, yeah.
It would probably be
Likely,
located
yeah.
on, at this point, we're imagining that being located on the Mason Street side in that planter alongside, or in the same general vicinity as where we have our transformer. And it would be planted out and screened.
It currently is showing some screening around it, too. Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whalen?
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. I have two questions. The first, how far is it from the mural facade to the property line of the brew house parking lot? I mean, what is that distance?
In the neighborhood of 2.5 feet, 30 inches.
2.5 feet. So that, and this is a walkway, you say, from the parking garage. They couldn't quite
Well, the walk-
see.
No, the walkway, there's a walkway that's shown right there. That's the walkway for the brew house.
For the brew
On their,
house.
in their parking lot. The walkway that we're talking about for the art wall is right where she's pointing to now. It's in the interior corridor
I
going from
see.
the parking lot out to the street.
So that's where the mural would be?
No,
No,
that's
the
where that-
mural's on the brew house side.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So I'm getting a little too far into it here, but potentially they could build to their lot line.
Yeah, they could
Okay. Easy enough.
control that.
And if you could be kind enough to, on your A404 and other illustrations, could you, in a little more detail, show us where each of the materials fall?
Sure.
Thank you.
So on this elevation, Melissa's now pointing out with the cursor, that's the corrugated metal. And in the bar in between, which is over the parking garage entrance, would be the dark stained wood. Yep. The handrail on the upstairs, second floor dining would be the dark wood. And then that whole entire building is also the corrugated metal, and that would have, you can see the multi-light industrial type windows in that. And the block on the corner has a poured-in-place concrete portion right on the corner there, and then also a vertical wood siding stained dark. And then the second story is all the dark stained cedar.
And Mr. Kirkard, is the cast-in-place concrete untinted?
Natural gray.
Thank you.
So in this elevation, you can see where as it turns around the corner, you have that one poured-in-place concrete out location, and the dark stained wood on the middle, which is basically the bodega entrance on the lower level, and that's a lobby for the hotel on the second level. And then it's basically the Corten screening over the stairway below, and then Corten on the hotel rooms on the upper floor. And we're fully aware, we've worked with a lot of Corten, and we understand that it does tend to bleed with the rain, and we think that that's going to add to the funk. We're going to call that patina instead of stain, because I think I think it's appropriate. You can also see, this is the first place where some of the lighter cedar shows up on the second hotel, on that elevation. Then on this is the west elevation, that lighter cedar goes up and over the concrete, and those units there actually have little patios off of the rear bathrooms, which we show the landscaping on. And then the the corrugated metal showing up again. And you can probably see we have a lot of solar panels showing, and our client is really interested in really pushing the envelope on the sustainability goals, getting as close as we can to a net zero carbon. And we have the wood trellises will be a combination of mostly steel so that they last, painted, in a kind of a dark charcoal gray color. We'll be using some sort of a tile to simulate wood on the upper decks. Does that give you enough of an indication?
Very good, thank you.
All right, Mr. Black,
I don't have any questions.
Mr. New,
No questions.
Mr. Solson.
No questions.
Okay, so you mentioned the steel window sashes. Can you go, are those going to be such like the old steel sashes with the beveled caulking and so forth and so on?
Yeah, you can get ones that are actually aluminum, that are made, they're trying to look like,
Yeah.
and they have, rather than actual putty glazing, which probably can't really even do anymore because it has
Yes.
lead in it. But, so it'll have the bevel type glazing. We're trying to get it as close as we can to like a 7/8 inch.
Could you
Bunsen
show
bar.
me where the renderings read as a very contemporary frameless?
Well, we have a little of that too.
Yeah.
So on this elevation, starting here.
Yeah, please.
That's
Would
gonna
you
be
go
a-
through the areas that have the different glasses?
Sure. So that's a tasting room number one there that sits well back from the sidewalk with the big oak tree that I mentioned with some lanterns hanging in it. That is a roll-up garage door. That's a sectional overhead garage door, fire station door type thing. There's a roll-down grill for security on the garage. Next to that, so this building,
Did that not used to be the Corten filigree?
that's not Corten, no, that would be
No, it used to be.
on a previous scheme, we backed off on some of that Corten.
Good, good.
Yes, it
And
did.
you backed off on the railings also.
And we got rid of the glass railings, we put a horizontal, steel, like a steel horizontal bar stock railing around the pool, we got rid of the glass.
And weren't some of the other railings filigree Corten also?
Pretty much, that's pretty much what they are throughout now, with the exception of on that stair tower on Mason, that it's going to be the filigreed Corten steel.
Good, okay.
And then, so this main building, which is the restaurant on 2 stories, you got the restaurant on the ground floor with sidewalk dining, same restaurant upstairs with dining overlooking the street. So this entire building on this facade would all be a simulated steel industrial sash broken into smaller panes, as you see indicated.
Great, okay. It reads differently.
On that building, yeah. And there's a gate on that, that's the pedestrian walkway that would have, right now, that is also this Corten steel filigree gate
Okay.
that would remain open during business hours, would only be closed in after
So you
hours.
showed it open, not to...
We've shown it in the open position, so you wouldn't complain about it.
Yeah, thank you.
Just kidding. So this building, this is a tasting room number 2 here, that would be a bifolding type,
Yes, okay.
more modern, but it would be aluminum clad wood in a bifolding. Then as you move around the corner on that's the bodega on the ground floor and a lounge on the second floor, that would be more of a traditional 2-inch by 4-inch storefront.
So if I understand, the gable ends would be the very sophisticated frameless, correct? On both sides?
And really, that's, on one side is the kitchen, so we really don't have it on that side, but on the side.
Oh, this is solid,
Yeah,
it's just
solid,
not
but it's-
peeking out. Okay, all right.
But facing the ocean side, I think we have a view from there. There, back in that, it's deeply recessed because that's a patio on the south, but deeply recessed in there is a butt joint, very modern glass that wouldn't show any mullions. That's what hoping we can afford that with in the budget.
Okay.
The inside, see a little picture, a little piece where her hand is right there. The inside of those gable forms would be a lighter cedar wood siding on the inside of on the interior
Okay.
underside.
Let's see. As I mentioned last time, I had an issue with context, and it's kind of an unusual context. It reaches all the way to State Street, and I suggested that the State Street, when you go up and down it, there are several places that you can see this building. It's a large building. It's 4 stories on the west end. Did you consider my concern and looked at painting it white to, or more sensitive to the Spanish colors, wall-based colors of State Street and the adjacents?
Yeah, we considered it, but I can tell you with our design team and dealing with the client, we don't agree with that comment. And I think it's completely in the foreground are all these corrugated metal buildings. And to me, the former Beacons building is not exactly a pillar of, lovely Spanish colonial revival buildings.
No, but it is white and it
Yeah.
leads back.
We'll let that do the work for us for this block, in our opinion.
Just some other minor things. I like your idea of the Corten pattern being an art piece. Are you going to actually repeat that pattern, or are you going to, or are you going to have a composition? Very minor.
Yeah, once again, we've only thought about it as being something that has, enough light can go through it, but small enough openings so that it can qualify for the, 4-inch dimension. It might show up on some of the interior balcony railings of the hotel, looking out over the pool area or whatever. We'll get to that through design development and the construction documents, but it's really, we're thinking by doing it, we had it in a lot of other places. We think it kind of makes it more special to have it in one spot.
Right, I can see that. Are you concerned with the north, let's see, what would that be? The northeastern shaded exposure of your vines on that elevation? And would they be healthy and fine, yeah?
With the proper vines, yes.
Proper vines, okay.
Unfortunately, the landscape architect isn't here, just recovering from some surgery, but he'll be at the next meeting, and if they'll select the right vines, that'll do work in the shade.
Not difficult.
Okay,
Good.
very good. All right, those are my questions. So if we could get comments, can we start, let's start on this side. Mr. Solfrin.
I have no comments. I think you've done a great job with this project.
Thank
It'll be a nice contribution to the neighborhood.
Mr. Newton.
Yeah, mine are brief. I think it's ready for project design approval. I like the change from the glass to the horizontal steel, and I like what you're doing with the Corten. So I'm supportive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. It's really nice use of materials, and I'm excited about the project as well.
Absolutely, okay. Mr. Wayland.
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. First of all, I wanted to comment on the multiple definitions and the highly fungible word funk, which can mean in however it's used, funk zone, funky, funk. So it's highly indeterminate. Off of that, a previous comment I made was that the hotel entry is really not featured, and I think that's part of the funk zone design guidelines, is that public entries are to be featured. I still don't think that, I think it's rather hidden in there. The materials and the compatibility, well, this gets back to my comment on the funk zone. It's a very elegant design. I have no problems with that. What I don't quite see it fitting into the funk zone. It's a handsome project, but does it really relate to the funk zone? I'm not so sure. Or does it really relate to Santa Barbara and the El Pueblo Viejo district, I'm not quite sure. I think it may be a little too elegant for the funk zone. Like I say, it's a perfectly handsome project, so I'm a little bit contradicted by it. Even the materials and the compatibility, I would like to see more examples of where you picked those from in the funk zone and those directly relatable comments. Once back to the funk zone, those are leftover industrial buildings of very simple nature and forms. This building sort of breaks down volumetrically and doesn't, to my mind, really read as funky. It's maybe funky elegant. That said, I will reiterate, it's quite a well-done and handsome project that I can support to date. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes, I also think it's ready for project design approval, and I think that the applicant has responded well to our comments, and that it is on a visible corner from a lot of areas that definitely signifies an entrance to the funk zone, and I think the materials do relate to the buildings within its surroundings, and it's not trying to compete with the white building next door. I think it's going to stand alone. I think that's appropriate, and I could support it. So.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. As for my own, it's absolutely an elegant building, very gorgeous. I'm still concerned about its proximity and the peekaboos that you get from State Street, and it's kind of still an issue for me. I appreciate the movement towards, taking, the Core 10 elegance that was, and taking it back to a more industrial. So I think you've come. I think it has no problem in context to the industrial and funk zone nomenclature. So I rationalize that the gray block against the blue sky is going to diminish the impact from State Street. So I think that I will be voting in support of it also. So with that, does anybody care to is there any other further discussion? I think everybody's happy with this guy. So does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll shoot for a
Ms.
motion
Anderson?
there, yeah. I'll move for project design approval or indefinite continuance back to the full board for project design approval. Is that how we say it? With the following comments: that the board appreciates the applicant's attention to detail and compatibility to the neighborhood, and their response to our previous comments. And we look forward to the refined details in the next phase.
Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Project compatibility findings? Yeah, I'm going to do that after.
Yeah, after. Does anybody else?
Okay.
Mr. Whalen?
The what? Oh, conditions of approval. Okay.
Yeah. Let's get our other discussions and then have the compatibility at the end.
I think that's all I'm going to add. So if anyone wants to add, I guess you can speak up now.
Mr. Whalen, you're raising your thumb.
I was going to look forward to a landscape plan at the next presentations.
All right. We can add that.
Absolutely.
Anything else? I guess so you can
Sure, we can
continue
add
with-
that. I mean, it's in the set, but we can add it if we want to the minutes.
Okay, and the compatibility
Yeah,
analysis?
let's do that. Can you pull them up? Oh, thanks. All right, number one, this project is consistent with the design guidelines applicable to the location of the project within the city. Number two, it's compatible with the architectural character of the city and neighborhood specific to the funk zone. Number 3, it's appropriate in size, mass, bulk, height, and scale. Number 4, there are no adjacent landmarks, is that correct? Or historic resources that are affected. Number 5, no public views of the ocean or mountains are affected. And this project includes an appropriate amount of open space and landscaping.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
Great.
All right, Chair,
Vice
excuse me,
Chair.
Vice Chair 6,
I'm full of vices. Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Black,
Yes.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member Sofferin,
Yes.
Board Member Whalen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. I think that is our last item, or the last and only item.
I want
So
to make
we will-
sure that we announce the appeal period too, so.
Oh, yes, there is, as of, on the board is the appeal period and its details. So with that, we can adjourn the Architecture Board of Review for December 11th.
Thank you all.